My name is Eric Cohn. I am a vice president with RunSignup and have been in the industry for 15 years. So I'm starting to date myself. With that, we're going to be talking about shipping features and management and how to ship and DIY versus using third parties and so forth. So let's see if I can click this off. All right, today's topics: shipping address collection, the demographic of shipping fees versus exclusions and how to set up pricing for shipping, fulfillment options, DIY tips, tricks, and considerations. So when we get into this, if you have questions, feel free to put them into the chat. Natalie's going to be able to answer them. Anything, we'll probably have time at the end as well to address some of them via the discussion itself. So, all right, shipping address validation and collection. So we have a really cool feature or set of features around shipping. And one of the ones that I love is enabling shipping address validation. There were a handful of organizations who were already using this before the pandemic because they were shipping out goods and to their participants. So they were like, hey, we need to collect address. And that's why we built it. And this was built a while ago. So it allowed address validation and verification based on the USPS API. So, you know, US Postal Service API is out there to sort of allow us to go, yes, that is a valid address that can be shipped to via USPS first class mail. So we build all this. One of the things that's really awesome about that is you have a lot of different ways to enable it. So you can do it based on add-ons, store items, events. So when we start to look at the new world that we are living in, you might have virtual. So it's like ask everyone. Or you might go, hey, we're doing a hybrid where we're going to have an in-person and we're going to have virtual. Well, maybe you do it based on events. And therefore, you're going to say, oh, I'm going to only ask address for certain events. And you check off all the hybrid virtual participants and not the in-person one. So that's pretty important. The other ones under advanced setting, you can require a valid United States shipping address. You can also suggest standardized shipping address. So that would catch typos and stuff like that. Also, I want to highlight this. And I think that's going to be on one of the next pages is shipping charges. So I'm going to move on. So once you've enabled this, what happens on the registration flow is it's going to add a shipping address page to your registration process. So it adds a whole new page. And what it does is it autofills that information based on the profile information of the primary participant. So if I'm registering myself and my wife, it's going to put in my information and my address, and it's going to then require a valid shipping address if that's enabled. So with that, it's going to go and say, hey, you put in a PO box that is not deliverable. It's going to ask for a new one that is deliverable. Or maybe I typed in street with 1 E. It's going to suggest that I might want to use street with 2 E's to get delivered to. It's going to catch a lot of that type of stuff. All right, so shipping charges and exclusions. So I had mentioned right here is this little feature that we have that allows you to set prices for shipping if you're going to charge people for shipping fees. Okay, so you click on that little thing, and what it allows you to do is it allows you to customize the message to explain what those shipping charges are, what your policies might be. You can also add a label, a shipping label. One of the cool things, pro tip, Natalie has a lot of pro tips, so is that you can use the shipping address message even if you aren't charging. So that is something that is pretty cool to be able to do. There's a lot of reasons to be able to do that, but that is one of the pro tips. So with shipping charges and exclusions, you have to sort of look at it as a tiered down approach. So you would set all countries at 0. And then you might have Mexico is $15, Canada is $15. And then you can see here that the continental United States, the 48 states are 0, but Hawaii and Alaska are 8. So you have a lot of different tiers that you can implement. And then as you can see, you set this message so it shows it right here is that policy that you have, okay? So when they're filling in their address where it's auto filled in, it might automatically say United States, therefore it's going to be 0. But if they choose Canada or Mexico, because those are allowed, right, based on shipping allowed, yes to no, then these are the other countries that are allowed. And if they choose Canada or Mexico, on the checkout page, it would show $15. If they stay in the US and they choose Hawaii or Alaska, it would show $8 for shipping. All right, participant management for shipping. One of the awesome things that we have, and it's not just for this, if you go into participant management, so if you're seeing participants, participant management, that menu item has like 20 things, okay? One of them is shipping address management. Highly recommend just running through a handful of those things, making sure that you're fully leveraging the participant self-management features that we have on RunSignup. So, tons of features to allow your participants to do the work themselves. Trust me, they want to do that. They do not want to email you. One of them is shipping management settings. So with that, I would recommend that you have a cutoff. That cutoff is going to be when you're basically going to start your shipping process. So you're going to allow people to go back in, change their shipping address because they moved, and then you're going to start the fulfillment process. In this case was 12/31/2021. At that point, they're not allowed to change, and it's all over. If they make changes, shipping fees are not charged if they make changes. So they can sort of get around this, if you will. Again, I would highly recommend having this enabled so that people can change their shipping address, but then have it cut off based on the fulfillment date that you're going to start doing fulfillment on. All right, fulfillment and shipping options. We've been probably talking a little bit too much about timers for some of the nonprofits, but timers in the RunSignup world are key to being able to host timed road races, triathlons, bike races. From a nonprofit perspective, that might be your event management company. So when I say timer, it can be a timer or an event management company. And a lot of them have suffered a massive amount of loss of business because they're not out there doing live events. They have now pivoted and are now offering shipping services, a lot of them, not all of them. So you might want to reach out to your event management or timer organization and see if they're offering that. Even if they're not, you can reach out to an account rep with RunSignup and we can give you a list of really good fulfillment services. You can also contact fulfillment specialists. There is a list of vendors available on our website. There are tons of them. You can find local ones. You can find ones from our blog. And then the third option is do-it-yourself shipping. So do-it-yourself shipping is obviously probably the lowest cost point, but it's now volunteer time that you're going to be spending working on shipping. So the timer and fulfillment experts, as I said, many timers have expanded their business models and started including shipping and fulfillment services, virtual race setup and management of virtual races. So I would reach out to timers or event management companies to see if they're already offering that, if you need help with that. They are willing to help. Sometimes they have fees associated with that, but I would actually consider those fees to be very reasonable when you look at the grander scheme of things. Fulfillment specialist. If you have not dropped off 2,000 packages at a post office, it is not easy. I haven't done it, but Natalie has, and she's one of the experts in the industry on fulfillment, and that's why she's in the Q&A side of the chat. I can tell you from me working with Natalie on this that I know that it is not easy, and I've actually helped her with some of the technology geek stuff on the side. So, shipping mistakes can be very, very expensive. So when you decide to go down the road of DIY, I would first knock on the doors of timers, event management companies, or fulfillment specialists. They are experts. A lot of them have already figured out streamlining of how to handle these processes. All right, so if you are going to go down the road of DIY shipping, I would highly recommend picking a really good shipping software solution. So ShipStation, GoShippo, Pirate Ship, Easy Ship. There's probably 4 or 5 good ones out there that can automate your shipping process. you would import in your data from RunSignup into one of those software packages. A lot of them actually have really cool things like once you fulfilled the actual shipment, they'll send out emails with the tracking number to your participants, and you can even customize them to be branded your way. All right. The other thing that's very important besides all this cool software is going to be weight and size. So when you're looking at weight and size, you can't go back to the in-person race and say, well, we gave everyone kettlebells. We're going to ship these kettlebells out. That gets extremely expensive. So it does come down to, from a virtual standpoint, size and weight are very important, especially if you're trying to fit into that first class package that can be as low as I think $5 or $7 to ship out. So, you know, posters and pint glass and kettlebells, anything heavy or size wise are not all that great to do. So you might consider not just, hey, can I DIY ship, but when I'm looking at the swag that I'm going to give for any of these races, that is a primary factor, whether you're doing it yourself or you're handing it off to someone else. I would highly consider that to be an important factor in the decision making of what you're going to give away. All right. I had already mentioned this a little bit. Tracking emails, huge. Almost everyone here, I would assume, has ordered something online. And when you ordered, you expected to get information about when your package was going to be shipped, whether it's freight and it was going to take 3 months, or whether it was an Amazon package that you order and expect to get delivery in 2 hours. People expect communication and want to know where their stuff is. So sending out tracking emails is extremely important. Now, you can do a lot of that DIY emailing on our platform if you really want to take the time. But again, decent shipping software like ShipStation, Shippo, Easy Ship, Pirate Ship, those software packages already have it built in. So when you actually produce what's called the manifest of here's everyone that's getting goods and I've already did all the packing and labeling and all that, now all of a sudden that manifest gets handed off to the US Postal Service, and tracking emails should now go out because they've given you all the tracking information from USPS back to the software. So that type of stuff should be automated. All right. I think I left almost 5 minutes for questions. Tried to run through it fast. We can go back in slides if anyone's having specific questions on like, how do I set stuff up? Because I ran through it as fast as I could so that we'd have time for Natalie, the expert, and myself to run through. Natalie, are there any good questions that we may have missed or need to really jump into and unpackage?
Yeah, one of the ones was, have you talked to your local post office about special drop-off times to avoid bad blood and dirty looks? And it's so true, and it's annoying that you kind of have to do it, because after all, when you drop off 2,000 packages and you know you spent 10 grand in postage, you shouldn't have to go out of your way to suck up to them. But we did, and did the whole, how can we make it easier for you? And what can we do to make your lives easier? And so now we have a whole process where we just pull up to the dock and they let us like load it up and bring it into the back of the post office ourselves. So they're much more accommodating when you go out of your way to be nice to them.
So with that, the recommendation that I would do is go in and talk to the postmaster or someone at the actual local post office before you bring them 2,000 packages, and try and build a little bit of a relationship to say, listen, I'm going to send 2,000 packages and likely fulfill them all on 1 or 2 days or maybe 1 week. What would you like me to do? And then they will tell you, and you build that relationship so that you're not just trying to drop off a whole freight truck full of packages.
Does RunSignup have any plan to integrate with any of the shipping companies?
Well, as of right now, RunSignup is not. So we rely on an open API. I personally have done a little bit of work with some larger vendors to try and move data to ShipStation. As an example, it is not easy. Whether it's us deciding to do the work or a third party, There is a ton to that. So if you're going to ship a whole bunch, when I say a whole bunch, tens of thousands, feel free to reach out to me. I will do my best to point you in the right direction. If you're under 10,000, you likely don't need a whole ton of automation. You just need to have processes in place that make your life easier, which is, hey, I'm going to do fulfillment on a specific date, and I'm going to move the data over on that date. And you're going to let ShipStation take it from there, or Pirate Ship or Easy Ship or one of those.
Yeah, and then Amanda said, if you can get a local contact, you can set up pickup times, standing UPS and USPS pickup times. That varies. I have been shut down for that. They won't pick up anything for me. They won't pick up anything any more than 500 packages. And I never have less than that. So do you find that most events charge for shipping, especially when shipping a lot of swag?
I tend to see most events are including shipping. So most events fall into a very standard shirt, metal, and they include shipping. But we did implement shipping fees for a reason. There are a fair amount of people that are charging, so they might have a lower price point that they're presenting to participants, and then charging a $5 or $10 shipping fee on the back end. So it may come in as, hey, $25 entry fee. That's the hook. And then participants get to that checkout page and it shows $35 because it's a $10 shipping fee. It's completely up to you how you run your business. We're supporting both models. I would say the majority of nonprofits and organizations that use our platform don't tend to do that. They may include a shipping fee for Hawaii, Alaska, and international, and not one for the US. That would be what I would say the majority do.
Some of these are more shipping specific and not RunSignup specific. So we kind of have to skip some of them. I've had a couple of addresses that the address verification tool would not accept in RunSignup. So is there a better option when the verification won't accept the address? So unfortunately, that is just, that's an issue directly with the USPS API, and it comes up when they need exact formatting, or maybe it's a brand new address. Brand new addresses can take 3 to 6 months to be recognized by the post office. So because we connect directly with the API, we can't do anything about that, I don't think. I'm just trying to read through them.
Matt also gave a good recommendation. If you have participants that are struggling with that, you can have them switch the order of their address. So line 1 would be the apartment number, and line 2 would be the physical street. So it might be unit, apartment, whatever in line 1, and then Lee Street or Cone Street or whatever it may be in line 2. So give that a try as well.
Oh, I have had a handful of racers get into my challenge that live in Canada, even though I put only USA on shipping. There isn't a way for someone to register with and select a country other than the US unless you have that setting on to allow international addresses. So you could possibly have that.
So right here, you want to make sure that you do not allow all countries 0 charge, but shipping allowed, no. And then you come back and say the United States only. So you don't have to do 3 of them. You can do just 1, which is the US is allowed. So the shipping is allowed versus not allowed is the setting. So don't have an actual screenshot of setting that, but that's really what you want it to look like, which is.
You actually go back a couple slides.
One more.
Oh, forward 1. So that right there. So people would only be able to enter a US. I think you might be, I would have to look at your race, but it sounds like you're not using the shipping feature and you're just going off of their profile address.
Yeah, so you, on this, you want to make sure that you're asking everyone. That would be the other thing. Otherwise, people can get in just because you're not asking everyone for a shipping address and excluding Canada.
Yeah, so the only way to actually prevent international registrants is with the shipping settings. So you would want to make sure you're using shipping address and not, and shipping based off of that, not the profile address.
All right, so I think we've been 20 minutes. I think we've answered a fair amount of questions. Obviously, there's always more, and shipping itself can be a can of worms that could go on for days and weeks and months, as Natalie and I have figured out. So if you have additional ones, don't hesitate to reach out to an account manager or sales rep and ask questions. This video, along with all the other videos and slides, will be available at some point in the very near future. I do want to thank everyone for joining us. If you need to reach out to me, my email address is eric@runsignup.com, ERIC@runsignup.com. Thank you so much. And you guys hopefully can continue to enjoy the symposium. We have some other great presentations coming up, including Natalie and I, and a little bit. Thank you very much.